Welcome to the Space Dreamers podcast, a Sumadre production.
Welcome to the Space Dreamers. This is a bonus episode. I am your host, Jared Parisi, as always, and this episode I have two guest hosts. Who are you two?
I'm Mallory.
And I'm Amy.
Cool. They've both appeared on the show before, so if you've listened before, you should know who they are. So this episode is like a bonus episode, as I said. It's not about a book. It's about an adaptation of the most recent book that we talked about, which is Childhood's End. Now, back in the day, Arthur C. Clarke wrote a book. Well, he published a book of short stories, and it's called The Other Side of the Sky. Now, if I were to name these episodes, I would name this episode The Other Side of the Story. And I would do that because watching Childhood's End really made me think about it, about the whole story, in a completely, like, a totally different way. I'm amazed at how the show, in my opinion, treats the Overlord's plan with a different, like, emotion.
Definitely.
And I don't know if you agree.
I agree with that too.
Okay, and another reason I would call it this is because I want to talk about another Arthur C. Clarke story that I read this past week, and how it connects to The Sands of Mars, which is Clarke's second novel. And it connects because it also presents another side of the story. So I want to start real quick with Sands of Mars. So, do you remember, Amy, in The Sands of Mars, how we talked about meteors?
Yes.
And how in the story, the characters are like, oh, meteors aren't a big deal, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Like in space, meteors aren't a big deal. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And then someone brings up, well, what about the Star Queen? Do you remember that line?
Yes, I do.
There is a 30-page short story in Expedition to Earth that tells the story of the Star Queen.
Oh.
And in the novel, it's no big deal. Meteors are no big deal.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about it. Dude, the Star Queen, it was a big deal.
Really?
So what happens in this short story, it's called Breaking Strain, and it was so good. So basically in the novel Sands of Mars, the pilot says that the Star Queen was not lost to meteors.
Correct.
And so you basically learn in this short story what actually happened to the Star Queen. So what happened to the Star Queen was it got hit by a little tiny meteor, and it caused a leak in oxygen. And the Star Queen had two crew members, like a pilot and a co-pilot or whatever.
Yeah.
And the meteor damaged their oxygen. So they basically have only enough oxygen to not get them to where they're going.
Uh-oh.
So I think they're going to either Venus or Mercury. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But I think they determined that, like, they're going to run out of oxygen with 10 days left in the journey. And, oh, dude, this story was so good because it explains all this stuff about how, like, okay, so if you're a spaceship pilot in Arthur C. Clarke's imagined future, if you know that this situation is going to befall you, if you know that you're going to run out of oxygen, but you're in $1 billion spaceship, you have to set up the spaceship so that it'll be where it needs to be for the owners of it to come and salvage it right before you die.
That's horrifying.
So you know you're going to die, but you're like,
oh my god,
this is my responsibility. So I have to set it up in like a certain orbit and do all these different things to the ship so that it's in the best possible shape that it can be when a salvage, or not even a salvage, because the ship's fine.
Right.
It's going to be fine. You just have to come
Right.
there, repair it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just crazy. So anyway, the
Wow.
whole story is about these two guys and how one of them doesn't take this idea very well. He starts drinking heavily.
Yeah.
And the other one is like, look, dude, you need to fucking focus because, like, we're still working here and that we could find a way to save ourselves. So quit drinking and quit being all like down in the dumps. And then, so it's sort of like a psychological story, you know?
Oh, definitely.
So by the end of it, or by like midway, the guy who's more like aware of what's going on, he decides, if I kill him, I'll have enough oxygen to make it.
Oh, sneaky.
Oops. So
Oh my
that's kind of like what
gosh.
the whole story's about. And then by towards the end, you kind of learn, like the other guy, the guy who's kind of drinking, he figures out what he's planning on doing, and they have a conversation about it, and blah 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 blah.
Wow.
The point is, when you read the Sands of Mars and you read about the Star Queen, you're like, no big deal. Star Queen made it, just a little meteor. Dude, no, absolutely horrible experience.
Yeah.
So that's the other side of the story.
That's
now,
awesome.
to move on to Childhood's End. When I was reading Childhood's End, I certainly would contemplate, like, is utopia a good thing? You know? Like, you think about that. Like, okay, you get rid of war and suffering and all that stuff, but you also get rid of individuality, and you basically turn the Earth into, like, a communist country or communist world.
Right.
And, like, even in the end, when you learn the Overlord's whole plan, it was like, well, this is just the next step for mankind. When I was watching Childhood's End, no, like, everything about it was sad and not okay, in my opinion.
Yeah, they made it definitely more depressing in that sense.
So much more depressing, especially the ending.
Yeah.
Like, to see what happens, to visually see what happens to the Earth.
Yeah.
Not okay.
Not cool, yeah.
The Overlord should have fucking gone somewhere else. Like, I have a completely different view of the whole story now.
Really?
Yes. So,
See, I didn't read the book,
okay.
so I just saw the show.
What did you think?
I agree. It was very, like, I wouldn't have been on board with Utopia. I really liked the New Athens.
Yeah, you would have lived in New Athens.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, not even just Utopia, but I mean, if you think about, if you're over the age of like 13, the Overlords are basically like, you cannot have children. You're just going to live until you die, and then your race is done.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get to see where all the children are going, like what they're turning into, this like fucking hive mind.
Yeah.
Like, I just thought it was fucked up. But what did you think, Amy? So Amy didn't read the book.
No.
Mallory and I both read the book. Like, what did you think about that story, about that show? Oh, wait. We're talking about Sci-Fi Channel put out a Childhood's End in 2017, 3-part miniseries, a total of 4 hours. So, Amy, tell us.
I really liked the show. I thought it was done really well. I was very intrigued.
I was so surprised at how good it was.
It was
Yeah,
done
because
very well.
I remember you were nervous about the production value.
Yeah, especially about Corellin.
Oh, it turned out pretty great.
They fucking killed it, dude.
Yeah.
I was so amazed. Okay.
Like, spot on to the description.
Dude, spot on to the description. Not only that, but again, man, like, okay, so this is the thing. And interrupt me if you want to, because I have thoughts, and like, I just asked you a question, but now I'm talking. But
No,
like,
it's
listen
fine.
to this. Okay. Like, most times, if you watch a movie and you're like, I loved that movie, I want more. So what do? You read the book.
Yeah.
Because usually a book gives you more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas with Arthur C. Clarke, as we've gone over, the human relationships are not totally developed in Clarke novels. Like, certain things are just not developed. So in this case, and plus it helps that it was a miniseries, so it was 4 hours long, based on a book that's 215 pages long. So this, like, Stormgren was a fucking character.
Yeah.
Like, I was amazed.
I was wondering what they were going to do with him.
Yeah, and that was the thing. Like, okay, so when the show started, I instantly was like, fuck this. Because the first thing
Yeah.
is wrong. The way Corellin addresses humanity for the first time in the book is just every speaker in the world projects his voice.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That whole dead loved ones thing,
Yeah.
they completely
Oh.
made that up.
Yeah.
'Cause
That
I thought
was
that
a little
was-
creepy, actually.
I thought that was actually brilliant because it's like it got everyone's attention. And I mean, the idea, right? The idea that, like, if you're going to try to make an impression on humans, if you're looking from the outside looking in, you know, we have such a relationship with each other, and we like miss and love our, you know, lost family members or friends. Like, that would be a great way to make you feel like comfortable, because this person that you like,
would it though? I'd be creeped out if someone who was dead. But
that's the thing though, is like it would get your attention, but then you would be like comforted by it, I think.
And that is kind of what Stormgren does address that. So then as the show continued, I was like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, this is so cheesy. Like, I know this is going to be lame. And then in the scene where, with the basketball, remember the town meeting?
Oh, yeah.
And then you hear the bouncing of the basketball, and he's back there by himself shooting hoops. I was like, this is the cheesiest shit I've ever seen. And then he starts talking. No, and then he goes, he says, well, at least now we know the Overlords allow basketball. It's like, bro, you're not impressing me out of the gate. But then he gives his little speech.
Yeah.
And in his little speech comes like Clark's philosophy, or what he kind of tries to get across in the book, I think, which is, look, there is nothing you can do. They are in control now. Like, it doesn't matter if you like it or not.
Yeah, right. It is what it is.
Yeah, because that's what he says. I think everyone looks to him in that scene because they say something about how he fought like a limestone mill or something on behalf of the town.
Yeah, he was like the intermediary.
He brought them together.
He's like a negotiator.
Yeah.
Right.
So they're all looking to him, but then I love when he says, he's like, from my point of view, there's absolutely nothing we can do about this. So then I was like, okay, so we're at least, we have like the feel of the book, you know? So then, and it was funny because right before we started this, I was looking at my notes, and the first like 5 notes are negative, and then there's one note that says, it's very different, but I like it. And then from there on, it's all positive stuff. So
it is very different.
It's
in certain ways.
I know. See that I couldn't even. They feel like 2 different things.
Almost, yeah. I feel like the miniseries, like, obviously, took the character development a lot further. The timeline's messed up though, but.
But that's okay, because
that doesn't really matter.
If the timeline is intact, then Stormgren can't be in parts 2 and 3.
Exactly. They would have to have completely just gotten rid of his character earlier
So
on.
that's why it's one of those adaptations where I think the changes are appropriate for the medium.
Yeah.
Like, there are certain novels there's a book and movie called The Ghostwriter, and they both have amazing surprise endings, but they're different. But one works perfectly for print, for reading, and one works perfectly visually.
Yeah.
Like in the book, the whole book is in first person, and the ending is basically says, if I end up getting killed, publish this.
Oh.
So you know the fact that you're reading it means you know what happened to the main character.
Right.
So in this Childhood's End, I felt like I really liked Stormgren in the show.
Yeah.
Whereas in the novel, I don't not like him, but he's hardly a character.
Yeah, there's no reason for you to like or dislike him. He just is what he is, and he's doing what he's doing.
He's like the straight guy. He's like the level-headed, like, he didn't want this job, but now he has it, and it seems to be good at it.
Yeah.
But, like, who cares? But
well, it's funny that you're talking about that you talked about how lots of times when you watch a movie, it sparks you to read the book because you want to know more.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I thought when we were done watching it. I started grilling Mallory. I was like,
you're gonna get less.
Is that, well, that's what I'm gathering now, because I was thinking, like, you know, because my only issue is with the show is just the end. It felt really rushed, but so I kind of wanted to know like a little bit more, and I thought, you know, like that maybe the book would give me that, but apparently it won't.
Well, it's not. You're not getting. Not everything is more in the show, for instance, Amy, how does Milo in the show, it's Milo Roderick. In this book, it's Jan. I don't know.
Yeah.
So how does Milo get to the Overlord home planet?
In the show?
Yeah.
He boards a ship with animal specimens going back to the Overlord's home planet.
Oh yeah, and he mentions, don't they mention that like he'll be fine because he gets vacuum sealed in that bag. It's so goofy. Not
so
nearly
goofy.
as goofy as the fucking book.
I like the whale better.
Okay, but
What?
did she tell you? You didn't tell her?
No.
Okay.
You said it was different, but I don't think you told me what happened.
I talked to about the Jonah and the whale kind of.
No, you didn't tell
I
me
thought
You
we
talked
talked
to me
about
about that in the
Okay.
last episode.
Talk
Okay,
to someone about it.
so in the book,
Yeah.
the Overlords don't want live specimens. They want stuffed.
Yeah, they're taxidermied.
Yeah, they want taxidermied specimens of Earth animals.
Oh.
And one of the things they want, or one of the things that's being prepared, is a whale.
Yeah.
So he lives in the whale
Oh.
for the whole journey.
Yeah, like he hides inside the belly of the whale.
Just like the Bible story.
Yeah.
But what I liked in the show is that they kept showing that whale.
They did keep showing a whale, even
So-
though he was vacuum sealed with a
Yeah.
squid.
They throughout the show, like whenever they showed that dude from Nip Tuck,
Yeah.
whenever they showed his
him.
little area with all the animals,
Yeah.
that place he lived in Africa,
Yeah.
they would always just have like a random shot of that whale. And if
That's
you've
so
read
funny.
the book, you're like,
You
oh,
would get that.
you know,
yeah.
it's like fan service or whatever.
Because in the show he's with the squid.
You know, and they talk about the squid and the whale in the book too.
They do talk about it a
So
little
it's
bit.
clear that whoever wrote the show, whoever worked on the show,
Yeah.
like I think they must have been fans of
Yeah.
what they were adapting.
Definitely.
Like
Right.
I can't think of anything that I would knock the show for changing. I mean,
No, yeah.
I love the book. I like
Mhm.
the show.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of anything that I mean, and it's funny too. There's even some things I thought that were better in the show.
Yeah.
For instance, Amy, what was your impression of when he is with his wife in the house early on in the show before he becomes the liaison?
Yeah.
When they break his house apart into tiny
Oh,
pieces
that was
and then
my
put it back
favorite
together.
part.
Okay,
I loved
what
visually.
was the point of that?
I loved it. What was the point of it?
Yeah.
Weren't they trying to get him out of the house?
Well, in my opinion, it's a power demonstration.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was
That's
thinking,
the
too.
whole point of it. I think.
Right.
I think that's what's so cool about this whole story is the Overlord's ability to just do one little tiny thing that sends a message to every human on Earth. Like in multiple instances, it just says, "Look, you're not on our level.
Right.
You cannot fight this."
Oh, just how, like, the woman breaks through in the show, the woman breaks through the police barrier trying to get closer to the ship, and then all of a sudden her crying baby is soothed. And everyone's like, oh my goodness. And that's when they realize that people can be healed.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, because he opens the vial.
Oh yeah. That whole
Yeah.
thing was not in the.
Yeah, that wasn't in
Dude,
the
that
book
wasn't
either.
in the
really?
book. And
Yeah.
the part where he fucking sacrifices himself to give it to Corellin
Yeah.
Oh.
was amazing.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, I
cool.
And
really
that's
liked
not
that
in the
too.
book.
Yeah,
At
not in the
all.
book at all.
It was so good. Okay, so wait, where was I going? Oh yeah, in my opinion, dude, that's a power demonstration.
Yeah.
It's like if someone like comes up to you with a gun, it's like you know about guns,
Yeah.
right? But if someone looks at your house, pulls it apart into 6 billion different pieces, and then
Yeah.
puts it back together, you're gonna bow down to that person.
Yeah, because that's what he did. He was like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm coming out, I'm coming, I'm getting on, I'm going. And then he puts the house back. And doesn't he come later in the show, too? And he starts, like, it starts
Yeah.
to happen. He's like, no, I'm coming, I'm coming.
Yeah. I
Yeah, he's
remember
like,
that.
don't break my house apart again.
Yeah.
I just thought that was so cool. It was such a badass demonstration of just power.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
And I don't know what else. It was
Wait,
so
does that
long.
happen in the book?
No.
No.
You don't ever see Stormgren's house in the book.
Oh, okay.
Stormgren's in an office building.
Yeah.
And then he goes up to the ship and talks to Corellin, which is different. Again, like in the novel, it's a completely bare room.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like there's like a screen between him and Corellin.
Mm.
But in the show, I didn't. And the whole thing with his dead wife, that's not in the book.
Wow.
How his dead wife comes to him, and then his current wife is like, who came to you? And he's like, my dad. Like, I was instantly intrigued by that. I was like,
why he lied?
bro? But none of that's in the book. Can you imagine that shit in an Arthur C. Clarke book?
Yeah, you're right. I
Yeah.
can't.
Wouldn't
I mean, you had to do it
happen.
for television. I mean, you have to for television or a movie, because otherwise you would have no like involvement with the character.
Plus, you have to just like understand. Like, I wonder what is the greatest gap between book and visual adaptation in time. Like, I wonder what the greatest without earlier adaptations. Like, you could take like Pride and Prejudice. It's been adapted plenty of times, like throughout history, like since the book was written. But Childhood's End came out in 1953. We're getting the first adaptation in 2017.
Right.
That's a very long amount of time in between. You know what I mean? So you have a whole different
Well, it's probably Shakespeare.
audience. Well, I don't know. Yeah, but those are plays.
Oh, okay. But I mean, well, yeah, I know, but still.
We're talking about books, Amy.
Oh, sorry.
And we're not talking about Shakespeare.
Sorry.
No, I'm just kidding. So, anyway, dude, what else? I don't want to carry this whole conversation. What do you guys think of the show?
It was very different from the book, obviously, in certain ways. Yeah, with character development and things like that, and like, the one thing that was like really different that stood out to me too that I kind of wished was in the show is, remember the party, and they had the little seance.
Yeah, I did.
They changed it into something else, but
the thing in the show, that was the only thing in the show that I didn't like.
yeah,
about
I
the
kind of
Ouija
wish
board?
they
The
had
Ouija
stuck
board
to
in the
that.
show was just so weird.
It was super weird,
And it was also like appeared to be designed by the Overlords.
Yeah.
And like they wanted an answer.
yeah, like that was just like some communication board. But why would they even need that?
Yeah, that was weird. I'm not. I think that part two with anything usually, because part twos have anything in a trilogy, there's no beginning and there's no ending.
Yeah.
I thought part two was probably the weakest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like that at all.
Yeah, I kind of wish they'd kept that one a little truer to the storyline,
In
because
the-
we never got to meet Rashi either. Who
You know, I
I
kind of
like.
expected that. I
Yeah.
think the whole budget went to Corellin.
you're right.
You can't have multiple like overlords running around.
Yeah, because it
I
wasn't
mean,
until the very end they showed more than one.
yeah, there was like one other dude,
Yeah.
that he, like his guide or whatever,
Yeah.
in that other planet. Okay, I want to talk about the reveal of Corellin.
Okay.
So the whole time I'm watching part one, I'm thinking, okay, like we're good. All right, we're going along here. Like, I understand that it's different and it's TV, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, but they better fucking nail Corellin. And then, dude, they fucking killed it.
Yeah, they really did.
And when he came out, again, it's the other side of the story. Not once while I was reading that book did I ever feel any kind of sympathy or like even remotely feel like I should have emotions about Corellin. But dude, the look on his face when he walks out, it's almost like he becomes a character. He becomes a person.
Yeah.
He becomes, for the first time ever in my thinking about Corellin, I had he became, what's the word? Vulnerable. Because he's one and
Yeah.
we are 7 billion.
Oh.
I understand the power, but
Right.
imagine like, and especially, and I get that like they've been doing this like throughout history, but if you show up to a planet and you look completely different, maybe that entire planet has been infected with racism. Like, imagine what
Yeah.
that's like. Like and like the look on his face, he just looked kind of sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like again, like knowing that he knows that he looks like the depiction of the devil to humans,
True.
and he's self-conscious about it a little bit. Yeah.
Not once did I think about that while
Yeah.
reading that book. And the whole time I'm watching the show, I kind of, like a little bit, felt bad for Corellin.
I think they make him very sympathetic in the show.
Right?
They
Yeah.
make him empathetic to humans,
Right.
which is interesting because I feel like you got a little bit of that in the book, like that he kind of felt like he cared for them as a caretaker, but in the show you can definitely see more of that emotion and like, especially with Stormgren, like he really seemed to care about that character.
Yeah.
You know?
And I definitely detected in the novel like a certain relationship between Stormgren and Karellen, but the show just took it to the next level.
Totally, yeah.
And like, I don't know, like I don't love that actor who played Stormgren or whatever, like the performance, but he was above average.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I
agree.
didn't love it, but he
Right.
did a really good job.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think also, the scene, my maybe thinking that Karellen is like a vulnerable character was solidified in the party scene. You remember when he's there in the party scene and he kind of, there's a point where he walks forward and everyone just is staring at him and like parts for him. Like, I understand their consciousness is on a whole other level from ours, but I just couldn't help but feel bad for Karellen while watching. Is that weird?
Yeah, if you're like the one
don't think
odd
so.
person in the room and everyone's looking at you, yeah.
And, okay,
it's like,
and maybe it's like, and also like he's done this before.
Right.
And I'm sure we don't know how many times he's done it, but every time you do this to a planet, there must be different reactions. They must be even more hostile than we were, you know, like kidnapping Stormgren and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But it's almost like, you know, it's the thing I think about with police officers. Okay. The thing I think about, if you're a police officer, I feel like the number one thing that is your job is being lied to.
Right.
Yeah.
Every single person that you interact with as a police officer is lying to you. Every single one. No, I didn't know I was going that fast, officer. Yes, you did. Shut up. You're lying. You know what I mean?
Right.
I didn't know that was a rule. Yes, you did. You are lying. So when I think about Karellen must get to every planet like, here we go again.
Yep.
We're going to fucking ruin these people's, like, we're going to make it better, but at the same time,
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, that movie Dreamcatcher and the book, y'all remember that?
Dreamcatcher.
Mallory's like nodding her head. No,
Yeah,
I don't.
no, you don't.
I thought I did.
Okay.
I love that movie. That's a great movie.
Well,
I
there's a
haven't seen the
character-
book, but I haven't read the book.
Okay,
Jesus.
Mallory, it's about aliens in Maine. It's like
Awesome.
the point is, there's a character played by
Aliens in Maine.
Morgan Freeman.
How do I not know about this?
There's a character played by Morgan Freeman who's the head of Blue Book, which is the alien fighting arm of the government.
Okay.
And one of the characters who's actually has telepathy, who can see in his mind, he says he's gone crazy from hunting aliens all his life. You know, it's like what Karellen is doing, like what does that do to you, especially if you do it infinitely?
It's a good question.
If he doesn't have a 100-year lifespan like we do, like
Yeah.
he's just been doing that, he just fucking destroys planets. I have a completely different view of the story now that I've seen this show, and I love the show for it.
Yeah.
It does put a whole different perspective on things,
Dude.
for sure.
They fucking blew up Earth.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so fucked up.
That is fucked up.
I know.
Dude, what do you think about in the book? Remember in the book how they describe the children right before they ascend and they're all dirty
Oh, yeah.
and like not wearing any clothes?
Yeah,
and,
they're like
dancing?
savages.
Yeah, and like in the woods. Dude, it's so different.
It's
Yeah.
very different than the,
Oh,
the show.
wow.
Wait, what happens at the end of the show? Like, how do they
They just
Do they-
all start to like
float?
float
Lift
up
up.
into the air.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they just start like hanging out up there
No,
for a little bit.
no, remember they all go to that mesa thing that she's on the top of?
Oh, right.
That Jennifer's on the top of, and all the kids are around it, which did actually confuse me because at the very end, remember, he thinks it's going to be 100 days, but it's actually 80 years. And when he comes back after 80 years, the girl's still standing on top of the mountain thing.
Yeah, why would she still need to be there if all the kids
Yeah, that
are
was
gone?
very strange. And the kids aren't there.
I don't know.
It was the only thing that I thought was kind of weird.
I didn't even think about that, but you're right. That is weird.
Yeah, it was very strange.
Why is she there?
I didn't. Okay, so one other thing too is you remember the line. Remember the whole section in Childhood's End all about the best way to get rid of religion is to ignore it.
Yeah.
Well, the fucking people who made this show didn't listen to his.
Not at all.
The whole there's just so much crap in the show about like that religious lady.
They did put more emphasis.
Was that her name?
Yeah,
I think
Peretta.
I did not like her at all.
Yeah, she was a little annoying. I just like her as an actress, but I didn't understand why they. I guess they had to throw that in there a little bit more to explain, like that some people were not okay with religion being gone. Because I mean, let's face it, there's a lot of people in this world that would not be okay with that. So I don't know. Maybe that's why they thought it was important.
I just don't. I don't enjoy like in fiction or in real life, like listening to like a non-believer and a believer like argue. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't want to see it in a TV show, especially a TV show based on a book that specifically says in order to get rid of religion, we should ignore it.
I think including religion is an interesting, concept because it's, I think what we talked about at another point in like the first episode about the implications of space travel and discovering new planets and life elsewhere, what that would say about the human creation or belief in God. And I think it's interesting because as soon as, like Peretta's mother, as soon as they showed up, she kills herself.
Yeah,
because that's when she realizes that there is no God. Like, how could God exist if the Overlords do too?
Right. Yeah. No, I feel like it's played out, and I don't want to see it in shows.
Yeah.
People.
But it's a giant part of human existence, so
I know.
Yeah.
Kind of has to be.
But like every time I saw her, I was like, oh, I guess we're gonna get more religion, and we did.
But then also crazy.
But then also like Corellin because the second episode is called The Deceivers, and doesn't he addresses her because she shoots him, remember? And he addresses her and says, like, you've, so yeah, the whole thing was great. But how he says, like, you've deceived yourself with God.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, okay. I actually wrote that quote down. Human beings, well, this is actually from a different scene, but it addresses what you just said.
Right.
And I remember it's when Stormgren is in the hotel room talking to Corellin. He goes, humans do not trust what they cannot see. And Corellin says they trust in a God they cannot see.
Yeah.
Yes.
I liked that line.
Touche, you fucking devil from outer space.
I think, religion has to sort of go hand in hand with science fiction because it's always
a sci-fi book.
But it's always...
The Bible is a sci-fi book.
Well, yeah. But it's always, we always pit religion against science.
True.
Like those are the only two things, either science or religion.
Yeah, it's almost like you can't be both, but even though there are people that are.
Yeah, you absolutely can be it's like it just kind of makes sense why like in a science fiction story about humanity, you
can't leave religion out.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah.
Ever since humans have existed, there's been some form of religion.
Okay, one thing I hate in like modern, especially like superhero movies and especially superhero movies where like everything has to be at stake. Like a lot of the newer Marvel movies, it's like you can't bring the bar any higher when you say the very fabric of existence will cease to exist.
Right.
It's like, please, could you just fight a guy and not that? Like your rival.
Right.
So Jan Milo in the story, in the book, is purely a space dreamer. He simply wants to go to space. And he wants to see the homeworld.
Yeah.
But in the show, I wrote it down and I vaguely remember it. Isn't he under the impression that Earth could be in danger and that's why he goes?
Yeah, he sees it.
Get the fuck out of here with that
He
shit.
sees
He's
it.
a space dreamer. He's not a fucking superhero.
Yeah, that is true. Like
No, but really his only motivation is he wants to see how it ends. He wants to know why. I mean, I think maybe in the back of his mind, maybe he's thinking I could find something that would be useful to make it not happen. But I think really I related to that concept so much. Like I just want to know what happens. Like, I just want to know where it's all going.
That's probably why you love The Time Machine.
Yeah.
Remember the whole end of that book?
Yes, I love
is him just watching the world
everything
end in fast motion.
Yes.
Incredible.
It's so incredible. So, like, I really liked that. Like, I don't know if it's the same in the book, but, like, I really liked that he just wanted, like, I think he even, like, actually just says it. He's like, I just want to know how it all ends.
Yeah, he's just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, I kind of just want to, I feel like, I kind of just want to go, like, my notes here are so interesting. Because I clearly was, like, on a roller coaster of, like, liking and not liking the show. Because, okay, so part 2, I have, like, the last 3 notes I wrote were Peretta kind of sucks. Very sad when Kay gets shot.
Yeah.
And then, wow, great climax for episode 2. Like, in that one scene, I was like, I don't want to see, like, get the fuck out of the barn, Peretta.
Right.
Nobody likes you.
Right.
Okay? And then, so I was like, I don't have one. Like, I hate, like, just why are you fighting? Like, just stop. Like, you lose.
Yeah.
You with your little shotgun.
Yeah.
And honestly, that bothered me too, dude.
Yeah.
You can't kill a fucking Overlord.
Yeah,
with a shotgun.
why did she try to even...
But she did.
Well, that's my point, is that in the show, it's effective.
Yeah.
In the book, they make a point to say that their skin is like armor.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So, like, it wouldn't have been able to happen.
Not only that, but he
interesting.
stops a bullet in episode 1.
Yeah.
So he can stop a bullet if it's coming at him.
That is true. Like,
Doesn't he stop a bullet in episode 1?
Yeah.
Isn't that how they save him?
Yeah.
Because that's different. That's better in the book.
yeah, definitely.
But, I mean, in order for that to be good, it would have to be like a long scene, I feel like. But, you know, in the novel, Amy, wait, does he freeze them in the show? Does he freeze time in the show? I think he does. No, I think he does.
Yeah.
When he saves Stormgren?
Yeah, because remember, everything stops. He just walks
oh, yeah,
out of there.
you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's pretty similar, but it's I thought it was cooler in the book.
Mm-hmm.
He's like way underground or something, and then everyone freezes.
Yeah.
But it's not. I guess what I didn't like in the show is that it's like an action scene.
Yeah.
There are no bullets flying when you get saved.
I gotcha.
In the book, he literally is sitting there playing cards with his captors. Like, because of course, fucking Arthur C. Clarke, you play cards with your
they're gonna
captors.
be playing
You don't get the
cards.
shit beat out of you. You fucking play
Right.
cards and you discuss fucking politics.
Yeah, totally.
So he's playing cards with his captors, and then everyone just freezes, and then he looks behind him, and there's like a metal sphere floating, and Corellin's voice is coming out of it. And Corellin he's just like, don't worry about them, they'll be fine. Just go this direction. And then he goes down this like mad long hallway and turns a corner, and there's another sphere. And he's like, okay, now go that direction. And then he gets saved. I just thought it was, I mean, whatever. It was, but I mean, there's nothing in the show that like made me not like it.
Mm.
And it's hard for me to say that, dude. I'm kind of a pessimist. Like, I'm kind of a hater, dude.
Yeah, I know.
When it comes to a lot of or it's not even
Especially
that I'm a
TV.
hater.
Well,
Well,
you
dude,
don't actually watch television shows.
Well, that's okay. I'm not gonna sit through 50 fucking Childhood's End episodes. Okay,
Yeah, that would be a
I don't
bit
care
much.
how good that show is.
Yeah.
Enough with the.
I think the miniseries was perfect enough.
Exactly.
Wrapped it up.
I seriously feel like I've been watching Battlestar Galactica for
Forever.
so fucking long.
I
Yeah.
know.
It's like I used to watch like 3 episodes in a day. Now it's like I gotta get through one. But the quality, the show is great.
Yeah.
I just
You
how many
burnt out.
times do I have to look at these people?
Yeah.
Anyway, wait. Okay, I want to look at. I feel like you guys aren't really. You don't have much to say, so let's go through my notes here.
I could say plenty.
Okay, then
we
talk.
can
What
talk.
are you looking at your phone for?
I'm looking at my notes.
Oh, okay.
I wrote tons of notes.
Okay.
And it's funny. See, the first episode, I wrote a lot of notes. The second episode, not really that many notes. And the third episode, I wrote a lot of notes.
Okay.
For that, I think the idea of utopia is an interesting concept. Like, I thought that, like, it made me start thinking about what utopia, like, that utopia might not be a good thing. Like, I don't think I've ever, like, really thought about what it would be like.
Mm.
But
Yeah, if you didn't have to worry about anything, you
right.
didn't have any stress.
Yeah, because just like the idea of utopia is just like, oh, utopia. But nobody really like thinks about what it would be, probably because most people don't think that it could ever exist.
Yeah.
But like we were talking about it while we were watching it, about like why does utopia always have to be like shown as primitive?
Yeah. Like everyone's like riding horses and walking places. There's no cars.
Well, because
they look like Amish.
Yeah, they all wear plain clothing, and
because I feel like we generally have.
Is it just like nostalgia? Like,
well, aren't we as humans, modern humans, always thinking about how nice it would be if it was olden times?
Yeah, like simpler
times.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess that would make sense. But also like the concept of like, why would there be no art or music in utopia?
Dude, because
the
best. Where does the best art and music come from?
Pain, suffering,
longing.
I don't think all of it.
But even in a utopia, you don't take away that because you still have the human experience.
Yeah.
Like people are gonna die, you're gonna lose people.
Yeah,
a relationship might end. So I mean, there's still
right. I mean, just because you don't have to like
work,
toil or have to worry about money or whatever. There are other things I feel like you'd have to.
Just consider. Who is like your favorite artist of any medium? Just name who would that be?
I guess I really enjoy Jean-Michel Basquiat.
Do you think Jean-Michel Basquiat would emerge as a human and a personality from a utopia?
See, I don't know.
Highly doubt it.
Because I think sometimes some people I think are just born to create. I don't think it has to be.
You create. You do things based on your environment. Your environment informs everything about you.
Yeah, definitely, but I don't.
Do you think Ozzy Osbourne could come out of a utopia? No. He would be boring as shit from the day he was a babe.
I mean, yeah, I guess you wouldn't have like the like there wouldn't be like sad music or angry, like rageful music.
But you're saying that. But that's okay. That is saying that in utopia, no one would have emotions.
Yeah, that is true, though. So yeah,
like emotions don't
go away.
Yeah, like that's something. That's not a reaction to your environment. That's part of who we are, isn't it?
Yeah, but what flares up emotions? Usually intense things, and if everything's dulled down. Then we're all going to be dulled down humans.
But see, that's the thing is, why would it be dull? Like, wouldn't you be like, wouldn't you have the time, like, and more time and energy to like be creative?
Yeah.
Because you'd still sit around, you'd still have conversations with people, you'd still.
Yeah, but you would have nothing to talk about. It's utopia. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying like, you have to look at.
I mean, I guess
and it's all speculative, but it's like you have to look at the whole thing and how the whole it's okay. Maybe this will help. I don't know. Some people talk about the actual implications of potentially downloading your brain into a computer, right?
Right.
Like you could live forever as a computer. Okay, that wouldn't work for a similar reason. Like people. I've heard and I agree that the mind and the body are connected.
Yeah.
Intimately connected.
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
entirely depend on each other. Not just like to exist, but and the main word here is not motivation, incentive. There's no incentive, dude. There's what is your it's not whether you're fat, skinny, doesn't matter. Love to eat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Food is great.
Yeah.
It's one of throughout the day you think about food, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because food's good.
Yeah.
And we all enjoy mealtime.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. If you're in a fucking computer, no mealtime. No reason to eat. So eventually your incentive to even operate would go away.
Okay, but I'd still have that in utopia. I would eat a lot.
Okay, but what I'm saying, no. So, but now, if you to transition it to utopia, it's like There's no incentive. What's the incentive? To be better. To improve yourself.
There would be no
anything.
incentive
There's
to
no
improve
incentive.
anything.
And Amy, if all of a sudden, snap the fingers, Utopia, fuck yeah, I'm going to make some art. But I'm talking about if we live in Utopia generation after generation. Like,
Okay, yeah, eventually maybe. I see what you're saying.
not just eventually, like the first generation that is born in it, I personally think
Yeah.
would have no incentive to do anything. You know what we'd all turn into? That movie WALL-E. That's what I think Utopia would become, the movie WALL-E. Not what you guys are imagining or what Childhood Zen shows you.
Well, see, that's the thing is I'm not thinking about, like, I would have to think hard about, like, what I would think Utopia would be like. I'm just reacting to this Utopia that I'm seeing on the screen.
Right.
And
I don't even remember it in the show.
But in the show, it doesn't take away the human experience, though, because just in Stormgren's character, his girlfriend that eventually becomes his wife, she's upset and emotionally distraught because he's seeing his old ex-wife in the room. So, I mean, she's suffering in that sense because of that. So, like,
Okay,
and they live in the Utopia society.
Yeah,
but
you're
that's a
right.
very specific Utopia in a very specific story with a very
Yeah.
specific character.
Agreed.
I'm talking
But-
about Utopia in general.
I mean, in
Yeah.
general, yeah, I don't know. I guess it depends on
and
how
why
it would be
wouldn't
laid
you,
out.
Why wouldn't you be curious? Why wouldn't there still be curiosity in Utopia? Like, why wouldn't you still, like, you know how they talk about taking away the scientific curiosity? Like, why would I don't know if I understand that. Like, wouldn't you still be curious about your natural world, the world that you live in?
I was wondering if because like, or is it because the overlords already know everything
the
and are all
answers.
powerful that there's no need anymore because they already know it.
Like if God came down and was like, I am real, like group hug, it's all good, I got you. You know.
We still don't know what's at the bottom of the ocean.
So if God's there, you just ask him, what's there? He'd tell you. If the overlords are there, they'd be like, all right, let's X-ray vision that shit.
Well, I guess I didn't get that from the
well,
show.
I think our conversation is like a little like you started talking about something and then like, my reaction was about something kind of different.
Yeah.
Because I'm talking about like Utopia where people are born into it.
Yeah.
Whereas, in the show, nobody was born into it. That's the whole point.
Right.
You're sort of led into it, and then
Yeah.
humanity stops.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So in that case, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know how we started on this. Like, I feel like I got combative.
Yeah, you got real excited.
Well, because I've thought about Utopia too, and I just think look, okay,
No, because I
Listen.
understand. Oh, I gotta listen.
okay, no, okay, tell me what.
No, I was gonna say because I do understand where, like, what you're saying. I get it, and they did address it in the show in New Athens when the guy says, "To the creative mind, peace is stupefying."
Yeah,
And I get that, but I just don't think it would disappear completely. I think
Dude,
there'd be a different version of it.
especially
Definitely a different version.
Your example of an artist that you love, like, dude, that guy could never exist in Utopia. It's like that's like one of the most tortured artists ever, and you're like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That dude wouldn't exist in Utopia.
Yeah, I'd also say Van Gogh.
Yeah, dude.
Also
Okay,
not
look,
a good example.
look. Trent Reznor used to be addicted to substances and have a not happy, fucked up life.
Oh.
Okay? And his music was incredible. And then he got sober and that shit got boring.
Wait, listen, hold on though. Stop.
What?
If we're in Utopia, don't you think the need for drugs would go up? So then people would be addicted to drugs and then they'd make drug-fueled art and it would be amazing.
Well, then, yeah. I
They had a
agree.
lot of acid going around for sure.
Well, it's like, you just have to wonder what, I just don't know what the Overlord's policy on drugs is.
Yeah.
So if we're
And I
talking,
just-
it depends on if we're talking
Right.
specific or
well,
just
see,
general.
and that's what I think is so cool about, and we've talked about it before, what's so cool about science fiction and stuff like this is that it gets you talking, it gets you thinking,
Yep.
you know, and Utopia is a great conversation to have. It's something that's been had, you know, for hundreds of thousands of years.
Right.
You know, I just think that it's fun to talk about stuff
And
like
well,
this.
it's kind of funny too that you look at real world countries or like governments that are fucked up and corrupt. Always attempt to present themselves not just as not fucked up,
right.
but as a utopia.
Yeah, you're totally right.
Like with videos in North Korea of like abundance of food.
Right.
And it's the opposite. It's
Exactly.
like you can't just show normal amounts of food. You have to pretend like it's a utopia. It's like weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like utopia no matter what, even though it's weird because utopia, the very nature of it is perfection. Whereas I don't think anyone who is even remotely wise thinks of utopia without thinking of it as actually that probably wouldn't be good.
Yeah. I mean, I could see how it definitely would get boring. Like, I feel like I need something to do a lot. Like, I need a job of some sort to keep me busy. Otherwise, I just get really bored.
You just said that you were on vacation.
Yeah.
And then you got bored.
And I'm super bored.
You know what I mean? It's like...
Yeah. Well, that's why New Athens looked like so much fun.
Yeah.
It's also, dude, it's also why retired people sometimes don't stay retired.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, my dad can't not be doing something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
well, one of the other things that I thought was interesting in the very beginning of the show, when remember the news guy, the media guy, like the media mogul guy. I don't know if he is in the book at all, but I mean, at first, like I kind of thought he was a little much, but then I realized that his purpose, I think, was to point out what the opposite of, you know, like. We would all just assume that everyone would be excited about utopia. But really, there's that whole thing about how people would rather destroy the world than be controlled and accept the help.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really interesting concept because it's like, who would want to do that? But then we kind of, like you were saying, like countries, like, you were putting it in a smaller scale and you see it all the time, you know, that you'd rather just like destroy things than go along and be a sheep.
I feel like there's been plenty of times where I've been doing something maybe slightly unsure, like I know I need help, but when someone offers help, you're like, the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Like, I can handle this.
Right.
But in your mind, you know the reason you're doing that is that you'd rather fuck up by yourself than do it right while someone holds your hand.
Yeah.
But the question, though, would be, would you rather have it be completely destroyed than accept help? And I thought that was a very interesting, because like at one point he says something, you know, it's something like specific, like they're going to start like actively destroying the earth.
Okay, so this is another thing that's important when it comes to when this story was originally written and conceived.
Yeah.
Which is 1953, right after the atomic bomb, right after man or humankind invented a weapon that could destroy
nuclear
the
weapons,
earth.
Oh, yeah.
Like Godzilla, the very concept of Godzilla
Yeah.
exists because
of
the country who invented him had just been doused with radiation and a nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
That's what Godzilla is.
Yeah.
He's the aftermath of the atomic bomb being dropped on Japan. So a lot of stuff in that time, especially sci-fi, was all about the atomic bomb. Have you ever seen, and if you guys haven't seen this, then we need to watch it at some point for this podcast, The Day the Earth Stood Still. The
I don't
original
think so.
from the 50s.
No, I don't think
I've
so.
definitely never
Okay,
seen that.
so that's a direct response to World War II.
Right.
Basically, in that movie, a spaceship lands on the front lawn of the White House, and out comes a human-looking alien and then a robot. And the human is your standard, like, take me to your leader. Like, I need to talk to the president.
Yeah.
And he talks to the president. He's like, look, we noticed you're using atomic bombs. You need to stop doing that. Like, just stop. You cannot do that.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. And you know, it's a warning against future use of atomic bombs. And I think Childhood's End is also a response to that.
Yeah.
You know,
Like, how we could potentially destroy ourselves.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, that's
that. Well, a lot of people thought too that the use of atomic bombs on this planet would attract the attention
really
of higher power, of higher intelligences.
really that's interesting.
Well, like, why wouldn't they? It's a very Clark idea anyway.
Yeah.
Because that's the monolith. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
uncovering the monolith on the moon
Mm-hmm.
proves to the greater alien population that we're ready
Yeah,
for visitors.
Oh, right.
You know what
yeah,
I mean?
I get what you're saying. So that would be like a sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just do the last story in that collection I read for
Yeah.
the next one is the Sentinel, which is the
Oh, you
basis
told me about
for
that. Yeah.
2001.
Oh,
That's
neat.
really neat.
It's pretty cool. It's like it's a pyramid. It actually looks more like the real life monoliths that started
Oh, really?
showing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's like a triangle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It was it's obviously not as good as
Yeah.
2001, but
The
anyway.
origins are fun.
I mean, how great was it that in 2020 monoliths started appearing all over the place?
It was pretty cool. Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
I would love to know who did it.
yeah, me too.
Um,
And why? But it was pretty great.
Should we talk about the Overmind?
sure,
What is up with that? Like,
hive mind
What-
shit.
is that like is that what it is? Is it like a prelude to Clark's Star Child?
I mean, no, because the Star Child is just David Bowman.
Yeah, but it doesn't exist.
No, I
in
mean, I get
of
what you're
any
saying.
form.
But wouldn't the children be more of the Star Child in this story, you think?
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, if the Overmind, like in my, like the Overmind doesn't take. There's no physical form to it.
Right.
So if it's just like a massive energy,
Mm-hmm.
then would that? Like, I don't know. I have no idea what the Overmind is.
All I know about the Overmind is it seemed innocent enough when I was reading the book, and when I was watching the movie, I was no. I don't want to be a part of an Overmind.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
No. The collective consciousness,
No.
isn't that? No.
No, I don't want to be a part of that.
What do you feel like that the Overmind it is, though? Like, do you feel like it is just a one big collective consciousness of the universe? Because that's kind of what I was trying to take out of it, was that maybe that's what they were saying, is that, and that's why telepathy was like important. When
Yeah, and they talk about the energy, like how
Mhm.
everything has energy in it.
yeah, and energy never stops.
Like
So,
it never
even
goes
when
away.
you die,
Yeah.
like you yourself, your energy goes out into
I mean, it doesn't
the
sound like a bad
greater
thing to
energy.
me. I guess that's like what I like imagine all of it. Like that's what I imagined, like, the concept like of, Star Child, like you were just like a conscious group of particles or energy or something
Right, but
floating around out
okay,
there.
But the difference, in my opinion, why I'm not okay with an Overmind,
Yeah.
I'd be willing to become a Star Child, but I don't want to be an Overmind because, at least from my perspective,
Mm-hmm.
there's like one person becomes one Star Child.
Mm.
Like
Mhm.
there could be as many star children as there are humans on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
There's one Overmind. So if you become part of the Overmind, you become part of a whole.
Mm-hmm.
You become part of one whole.
Yeah.
So you're just doing what the Overmind wants you to do. Like, you don't have any free will if you're part of an Overmind. I don't know if the Star Child has free will, but
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying.
it's hive mind. You know hive mind, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what the Overmind is.
I see. Yeah.
It's just like collecting individuals
Yeah, because that's what I
and
felt like it
absorbing
was
them
doing.
into a whole.
But it felt to me like if the Overmind is giving the Overlords instructions to go and push these species to their best form, then the best form has the like privilege of becoming part of the Overmind. So wouldn't you think that the Overmind would be a good thing, or do you think it's a bad thing?
I think that you maybe are supposed to think it's a good thing, but
Right,
if
but
I
maybe-
think critically about it, I don't think
it's a
that's
good
a good
thing.
thing.
Because it takes away that individualism.
Not even just that it
Yeah.
takes away the individualism. Like we don't ever meet the Overmind.
Yeah.
But just from what I hear, that sounds evil.
What if it's just like
Sounds
another
there's
version
no
of
choice.
What if there's another version of it's like another version of Utopia, just without a physical form?
That's an interesting concept to think about.
Well, yeah. Well, now we're getting into like just speculate. I mean,
Well, of course, it's all speculation.
well, if you speculate based on the text,
Uh-huh.
then that's different from just like well, if the Overmind's evil or if he's benevolent, like
Yeah.
I don't see any benefit to being part of a hive mind.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So then
But
it just
you
makes.
do?
So then it just makes. Well, no, I don't
Plus,
know
like,
if it's
that's
a
not
good thing
real
or a bad thing.
Well, it's not. It's a made up thing. So who knows? It could be anything. It could be good. It could be bad.
Right,
it
but
could
that's
be-
what. But I'm just talking about what I saw in the show. Like, I mean, I know that like the Earth blew up, and that's bad for us as humans.
Yeah.
But like, is it good for the greater, collective consciousness of the universe? I don't know.
Me either.
Yeah, that's and then it also like puts into perspective Corellin, like how we were talking about how you have empathy, he has empathy, we have sympathy for him, like like, is he doing the bidding of a evil force or a good force? And then how he says that his species or whatever has evolved, they're not going any further than what they are right there. So then you've got to wonder, like, is he being left? Are they being left out of this Overmind thing?
They're completely being left out.
Yeah.
they are completely being left
That's
out.
one of the
Yeah.
things in the book that he says. He literally
Yeah.
tells, I forget who he says it to, but he says, "We envy you."
I think he says it to
Oh.
Jan, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
like, "We envy the fact that,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you are being given something that we will never ever be given."
Yeah.
Right.
So I guess in that way, the Overlords are looking at it as a positive
Right.
thing.
Yeah, but how
But-
much do the Overlords
Right.
know?
Yeah,
Exactly.
but
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
and
You
why
don't
were the
know.
Overlords chosen to act as these midwives, as they call themselves,
Right.
to these planets?
Children.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, all
Because
things-
really, that's kind of a shitty job. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
hey, go and even though, yes, you're giving these people utopia, it's supposed to be living out some of the best part of their life, I guess, is comfortable. But, like, yeah, you're there to destroy something,
it's
really.
exactly. Remember Infinity War when I lead people to a treasure I cannot possess.
yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
It's the same thing, dude.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
But
But
you
I mean,
got to wonder why the Overlords do it. Oh, but they probably don't have a choice because the Overmind is
they probably
so
have
powerful.
a galactic gun to their head.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I
Exactly.
don't trust a fucking Overmind. Like, I didn't really think about it when I was reading the book. But
Yeah.
watching the show,
Yeah.
I'm like, no, dude.
no.
No. Like, how many planets could exist out there that you
Yeah.
fucking destroyed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's
you could
crazy.
have your invisible, massive consciousness.
But if they had left it alone, would those planets cease to exist? Because eventually they wouldn't have evolved maybe into what they were supposed to be.
Maybe if the Overmind let a motherfucking species evolve, we could see what would happen. I don't know.
Which
I'm
also
just-
kind of doesn't make
Yeah.
sense because really the reasons that the Overlords say that they became interested in humans was because they came too close to understanding telepathy and all that.
Oh yeah.
So,
I think it has to do with
Interesting.
flight too, because that was one thing that they say in the book. Mankind cannot go to the stars. I think he
Mhm.
said you can explore the planets, but you can't go to the stars. Maybe, I
Really?
can't remember.
Yeah.
yeah,
um,
they definitely tell them they can't go to
Like you can't go to space.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
and that was one weird thing in the in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Like the very first thing you see that is science fiction, that is out of the ordinary, is that plane that freezes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then comes
So
down.
cool.
Yeah.
I thought that was so well done.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was like like mother coming to child, just like go in fucking timeout, or just like everyone land. You need to be on the ground.
Yeah.
Yes, you don't like freak out and cause chaos. And
I don't know. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that's
I'm just
really
so
neat.
surprised at how much I like that show.
I'm a little
That's
surprised too. I didn't.
Yeah.
Because I was kind of like you in the very beginning. I was like, it's different.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not bad, but then it did take it a little further than the book obviously did. So it's almost like its own thing in a certain way.
And I thought Jennifer too was way better in the show.
Yeah,
The
he did.
little
yeah.
girl. She's like nothing in the book.
Yeah, they don't really mention. I mean, she's just kind of like a baby in the book.
She's like a baby in the book, but at the same time, she's more powerful than her older
Yeah,
brother.
because she was the youngest.
Because they mention that she, and again, it's like there's no scene. It's just mentioned that she can like make her blocks float.
Yeah, like that she's in her crib and
Nursery
like
or whatever.
yeah, and like she's her toys are like floating above her and stuff.
So I mean, I just thought it was better. I thought the children at the end were just maybe, I don't know, like better in the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're
I
a little
mean,
creepy.
You would have to have a massive budget to pull off what was described in the novel. But because in the novel, I feel like we already brought this up, but like what other details you remember, like when Jan goes back to Earth?
Well, I remember he spent some time up there on the spaceship with the Overlords, which they kind of zipped over because like he learned a lot of things from them while he was up there. And then all I remember him when he got back to Earth was that he was the only one that existed and he just had to live out his life alone.
Yeah.
He didn't make some deal about being like a scientific researcher. I remember the Overlords are like, you don't belong here, so go home. You know, whereas in the show, he was like, I'm a scientist. I can go back and report how the end is. And
No,
he's
I
like,
think
oh,
that's
you
in
do
the
that
book.
for me?
I think, no, that's in the
Are you
book.
sure?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I don't remember that for
I'm
some
pretty
reason.
sure. Yeah, because he stays simply to relay what he sees.
I see, I guess.
Because it's like the Overlords have done this a bunch of times, but they don't know what it looks like on the surface.
Okay.
So they say to him, well, I think it's the same. I think that he offers.
Okay.
He's like, well, I'll tell you. Like, I don't want to be on your ship. That's my
Right.
home.
Yeah.
Like, I'll die with my home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, listen to this quote. I wrote this quote. How could you ask me to do this? What do you mean?
Did
Why
you even
I
write who said it?
Why did you write that? Who said
They're
that?
both
don't
in
even know.
quotes.
That's awesome.
Wait, repeat that again.
Why could you ask me to do this? What do you mean?
I don't know.
Dude, the very last note I wrote,
Yeah.
for the first time, I really dislike this process. Meaning the whole process.
Oh, right. That Corellin would have said that, right?
Huh?
Did Corellin say that?
Say what?
The thing you just said.
The thing I just said, I say that.
What did you say?
For the first time, I really dislike this process.
Like
What
he's saying
process?
he doesn't like the process.
The process of ending the childhood.
Yeah.
Oh.
What you got in your phone
So
over
you
there?
liked it?
I was indifferent to it while reading the book.
Oh.
It's like it's just what's happening in the book.
Yeah, and that's the
gotcha.
biggest difference between the book and the show. And again, because there's not a lot of character involvement, you have no attachment to what's going on in the book. So like you just want to know what happens, which is kind of what keeps you going. Whereas in the show, you have to develop these characters, so you start caring about like humans basically and what happens to them. But in the book, you really just
You look at it as a process.
it
Dude, in the book,
and it's just unraveling. You know?
I gotcha.
Stormgren is not in the book past page like 60.
Yeah, he's done.
Yeah.
And then then part 2, your main characters are like those fucking ding-dongs at the party. No
Yeah.
Stormgren.
And it's weird because like I feel like in the show they just like started just dropping the family in every now and again, so you knew that they were going to be a part of the storyline. But you're like, why are they important? Why do we care?
Yeah,
Why this family?
In the beginning of the show, when it showed the family that eventually gives birth to the kids that are special, I had no idea that's who they were while I was watching the show.
I didn't at first, and then I was like, I see what they're trying to do here.
Yeah, and then when they became part of the show. In the second part, I was like, oh, that's Jean and George.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that who that is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's Jean and George.
Okay, yeah. I was like, oh, it's Jean and George. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I just had no idea.
Yeah. It was just, that part was a little weird how they tried to just kind of slide it in there, you know? But
yeah.
I don't know how to make TV shows, so I don't know how you would write that.
What I got on my phone here is one of the notes that I wrote was, why are we so obsessed with being forgotten? Why would it be so bad not to have a point or a purpose?
Well, dude, yeah. We talked about this
because
in
we're
episode
egomaniacs.
1. We talked about this in episode 1.
I know, I remember.
Like, I don't know. He what? Because Jan is like, tells him to remember. He's like, remember us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, we actually showed up because you were about to fucking destroy yourselves and your planet.
Right.
Remember what? That you sucked.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
You weren't
know.
good at this.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. Like, what have we as a species contributed to the universe?
Yeah, nothing.
I just, I mean,
and dude, you know where I think that thought originally entered my mind?
Yeah.
Is the movie 28 Days Later, which I watched when I was 13.
Yeah.
Do you know what line I'm referring to?
I'm not sure.
You must.
What is it?
He goes, when all the soldiers are at the dinner table.
Yeah.
He goes, and I'm going to try to do his accent. He's like, if man, wait, how does it go? He's like, if man did disappear, it would be a return to normality, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
He says man has only been alive for a blink of an eye.
Right.
If we went extinct, that would be a return to normality.
Right.
Because everyone says, like, oh, when the zombies are gone, everything goes back to normal.
Yeah, I gotcha.
I should have started at the beginning. He goes, when everything turns back to normal, when the zombies are gone, he goes, well, if we all got killed by the zombies, that would be a return to normality because humans have only existed for a blink of an eye.
Right.
So that's where that I think I've just always thought about that.
Right.
When it comes to any type of story like this.
Yeah.
When it comes to the end of man. It's like,
yeah.
No one cares about the end of man except man.
Yeah.
Like,
and even then it doesn't matter, because if there's no man, then it's like we never existed. It wouldn't matter.
For a few thousand years, probably.
Yeah.
Our buildings would be hanging out and our non-biodegradable plastics.
Yeah. Like everything would
We'd
go
leave
on.
our mark for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything would just go on. And
well, I think humans, we think that we are unique. Like, because we are on our planet. I mean, we're, and if you believe in life on other planets or you don't, you still think that our existence here is unique. And
that is a good point.
That's something special and worth holding on to.
Right. Yeah. Because from our perspective, we don't know of anyone else out there. So we really are special and unique.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's interesting, though, because then why would he say that to Karelin? Because obviously, from Karelin's point of view, we're not special at all.
Right. Yeah.
Like, our point of view right now, we are very special.
Yeah.
Well, have you guys heard of, like, and I'm going to butcher this, but the 5 elements that make up our bodies? 4 of those 5 elements are the top 4 most common elements in the universe.
Oh, I think I have heard of that.
So technically we're as common as we could possibly be.
Yeah, that's really neat.
Interesting.
That's actually really neat.
Which
it's whatever. It's like hydrogen.
Really, we're all just made up of atoms. And
yeah, it's wild.
So it is. It's like the same thing that exists in the natural world already.
Yeah, we're just like...
We just have consciousness, which is different.
Yeah, consciousness.
Yeah.
Dude, that was... You guys saw that movie Annihilation, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So that movie is like... flawed, but whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But like one of the things I loved, and this is actually almost has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Remember how the plants are the shapes of humans in that one part?
Yes.
And they talk about how it's because their DNA, like there's a reason humans are the shape that we are.
Right.
Like we all are kind of the same shape.
Yeah.
And if you inject human DNA with like plant DNA, like the plant's going to grow with that information to look like a human.
So
I thought
weird.
it was so cool.
That's funny.
Dude, that's the thing. Like sci-fi can be bad or like not very entertaining, but if it makes you think, dude, it fucking did it. its job.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely.
And this is the thing. Wait, so you guys haven't heard episode 3, right? With me and Heather?
No,
No, not yet.
I can't wait.
Dude, this is the thing, man. Like, and this is like this is the thing when it comes to talking to Heather about movies, especially science fiction.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about Solaris. Have you seen Solaris? George Clooney?
No, we haven't seen that one.
I don't think so.
You've never seen it?
Mm-mm.
Oh my!
I don't know. I can't. No, I don't think so.
Not
Okay,
George
well,
Clooney, no.
Yeah.
Maybe if I tell you the plot, you'll remember.
Mhm.
The basic. It's a very cool premise. So, George Clooney lives on Earth in the future, and he gets a message from his buddy who's on a spaceship that is orbiting a planet called Solaris. And he says, you've probably seen it. He says, listen, George, his name is Chris Kelvin. He goes, listen, Chris, I need you to come here. I can't tell you why, but you need to come here, and you need to experience what's happening here. Chris Kelvin's like, well, shit, all right. So he goes, and he gets on the ship. Come to find out, when you are near Solaris, your dead loved one will be there with you.
Okay, I've definitely not seen this.
Yeah, I've
film.
definitely not seen this.
It's really fucking good.
Okay.
But it's slow as fuck,
Uh-huh.
and it's boring as fuck. Okay? So Heather wasn't down. But at the same time, dude, she said all these things that were so profound, and then I
Yeah.
didn't even realize. And she's like, I didn't like that movie. I was like, you got more out of it than I got out of it.
That's so crazy.
And I've seen it a handful of times.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I love it.
I don't understand. I'm like, how can you?
Yeah.
I'm just like, huh? So then, I don't know. But like, why did I even start talking about that?
Episode 3.
because we were talking about how if sci-fi makes you think, it did its job.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it made her think, all right.
exactly. And she had more to say about it, I felt, than I did.
That's cool.
And
Yeah.
it was like, it's like, I love that movie.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And she even, there's like a whole thing at the end. And this, like, I've been dying to rewatch it, dude, because there's a whole thing at the end. There's only 3 characters in that whole fucking movie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, kind of 4. And so it's kind of easy to keep track of them.
Yeah.
There's a whole thing that happens at the end of that movie with one of the characters, like a fucking surprise.
Yeah.
I never have ever noticed it. And Heather, like, pointed it out.
Yeah.
And I was like, huh? I was like, that's how that character ends? That makes it better.
Yeah.
And she's like, nah.
No.
It's like, okay.
Maybe you have
It's
a lot of
weird.
opinions when you don't like something, almost. Yeah.
Well, that's like how we're talking about a second side to a story, that sometimes adaptations of things can be put in a different light and from someone else's perspective, and you see it differently.
Right. Yeah, like I would love to see an interview. Well, I mean, you have to wonder where the inspiration to make this show came from. Like,
Yeah.
was it like, let's try to make some money, like, or we own the rights to this and they're going to expire, so we need to make something,
Yeah.
or or is it like was the director hired? Like, all these people were just hired, you know,
Yeah.
whereas they didn't come there like, we want to adapt this story,
Right. Like, or was it like a passion
Yeah,
thing?
like, I would
yeah,
love
like a
to-
passion project.
I would love to hear like what the creators of the show
Yeah.
think about the book.
Right. It'd be interesting.
I feel like they had to have been fans because they did keep some things so true to the book. Like that you would have had to have obviously read the book to
Well, yeah,
you
I mean,
know,
yeah, but
and enjoyed it.
I just
could
wonder
imagine.
what their perspective
Yeah.
is like, because maybe it's just me. It's like
Yeah.
total 180.
Yeah.
I'm not okay with what the Overlords are doing, really, at all. Whereas when I read the
You're-
novel, I'm just like
Yeah.
way more passive about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, because you know why? Because in the beginning, dude, they bust out in the beginning. The Overlords do really cool shit that they don't show. They mention it in the okay. Do you know anything about what the Overlords think about animal rights?
No.
No. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. They show up. Okay.
Yeah.
So they show up in the book.
Yeah.
One of the things Overlords are not okay with is cruelty to animals. So, and the way they demonstrate this is there's a bullfight in Spain.
Mm-hmm.
And so right when it starts, everyone involved, all have a ridiculously loud and painful sound in their ears.
Oh.
And then it stops, and then no more animal cruelty on planet Earth.
Oh.
So, like,
wow.
that's fucking cool.
That's crazy, yeah.
But that's not in the show.
Yeah.
And they only briefly mention, like, the
South
sun
Africa?
going out. In South Africa.
And it's a different country in the show, but whatever, that makes sense because it's a different time period. But in the movie or in the show and in the book, they block out the sun over South Africa to stop apartheid.
Oh.
Because again, like that is like, to me, the scene where he breaks the dude's house apart is the same thing. It's just like
showing the power
demonstration.
Yeah.
It's like you can literally do nothing to compete against this. So just stop. Just do what we tell you to do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah. So anything else?
I just feel like the creator of this show took the whole, like, philosophical approach to this story more than the book does. When it comes to, like, I don't know where I was going with that now.
No, I can see that because
I think it, based on our conversation, I agree because I'm thinking about it way more after watching the show.
Well, and also when I look at, like, all my notes, like, I was thinking more like it was bringing up all of these philosophical and existential things for me, whereas coming from, whereas you called it the process at one point, and like it's more, of just like, this is what's happening, which is how I feel like the book must have been. And, I was like, process? What are you talking about? Like, I'm, like, emotionally invested in this.
Because even, like, when we were talking about in our episode just about the book, like, how there are some religious undertones and things like that, like, really it just goes into this whole philosophical idea of oneness. Like, I feel like the show kind of does a little bit more of that because it just expresses how, like how Corellin cares about Stormgren, and obviously the humans care about what happens to them, but they're supposed to evolve into this one collective consciousness that is the Overmind. Whereas, like, I feel like the book does that a little bit too, but the story, the show goes a lot further with a lot of that.
Yeah, it's just amazing. Like, it took me way longer than 4 hours to read that book.
Yeah.
Whereas the show was 4 hours. But I don't know, man. I feel like I got more out of the show.
I did too.
I hate to say that.
Well, because remember, we were even talking about, like, do the Overlords look like the devil? Because that might have been, like, a premonition of what was to come. Like, humans maybe saw that.
Well, I think I think it's my impression that they say that is what happened in the book.
They do remember them, like, discussing that a bit.
Wait, so why do you think, what's your impression of, like, why do the Overlords look like devils?
I have no idea. So, I really truly have no idea.
In the book, the humans surmise that in the distant past, human and Overlord clashed violently before we ever invented Christianity.
Yeah.
And so then people who remembered that created the devil in the form of the worst thing they could think of that was real.
Right.
When in reality, I'm pretty sure in the book it's said that no, mankind, it was a collective premonition. Because technically Corellin brings the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Oh,
which is what the devil's job is.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So it was like they were remembering their future.
Yeah.
And which is a thing that I brought up, and I love talking about how Clark does things first.
Yeah.
You watch that movie Arrival,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh my goodness. Like, it shows the future first.
Right.
So you assume that it's the past.
Right.
It's like, Clark did in the 50s.
Yep.
That's
Clark
great.
did that already.
Yeah. You guys want to hear about, we'll end it on a super dope Clark concept.
Yeah.
All right.
What?
That I read about in one of the stories. Okay, so I used to think Clark avoided all military things like war in space.
Mm-hmm.
But he apparently just saved all that shit for the short stories.
Oh.
So, because a lot of, like, multiple stories in the collection that I just read are about war or just, like, battling in space. And one of the stories, basically they create this weapon that you don't fire it at something. You keep it on your ship so it moves with you.
Yeah.
So what it does is it creates a circle around your ship where the circumference stays the same, but the radius becomes infinity.
What?
So the radius...
I don't even know how to picture that.
Okay, so you know what a circumference is?
Yep.
Yeah.
The circle around... So you have a thing the thing in the center of the circle is the ship.
Yeah.
Your
Okay.
ship.
Okay.
Yeah.
The circumference, the circle around the ship doesn't change,
Uh-huh.
but the radius, the distance from the end of the circle to the middle... No, so from the ship to the edge of the circle
Uh-huh.
becomes infinite.
Interesting.
Oh.
So A, your ship becomes invisible,
Oh.
and B, if you fire a missile
yeah.
at the ship, it has infinity to travel, so it won't kill you.
It'll never hit you.
So, like,
That's
but
crazy.
the story is about how it becomes a big problem because it, like, just
Yeah.
it just becomes a problem.
Yeah.
But I guess the idea is that you would have it on, and you would fly into the middle of the enemy, and you would turn it off. So you would instantly be there. Like, you would just appear and then just
Oh.
shoot all your enemies. I think the problem was the conflict in the story was that if your radius is infinity, you can't be shot at, but you also can't shoot anything out of the circle.
That makes sense. Right. Yeah.
like,
So
you're basically
you're
like,
just
while it's on, you're useless.
yeah, it's a stalemate. You're
Yeah,
just
exactly.
standing there.
I thought that was super dope. Okay, wait, one
great.
other. Listen to this.
What?
He has another story in this collection called Second Dawn. Okay, and it's about a planet that has two separate races, like two separate intelligent species on it. One of them is like ridiculously smart. Okay, like telepathic. They have no verbal language. They speak telepathically. They're like mathematical geniuses. Okay,
Yeah.
but they have hooves.
Oh.
And they have no ability to manipulate their environment.
Oh.
So then there's like two characters from that race, and they're invited to go hang out with one of their friends who's also from their race. So they go there, and the dude walks out of a cave, and he's got a fucking golden necklace on. And so they're like, excuse me, what's that around your neck?
Dope chain, bro.
Right? Dope chain, bro. And so then out come other intelligent creatures that look like us, who are not quite as intelligent, but they got fingers.
Yeah.
So they can manipulate their environment.
So you couldn't use your mind to manipulate things. You have to have hands. Like, you think if you had telepathy, you'd be able to, like, I don't know.
Well, not according to Clark in this story.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, I mean, maybe eventually they would reach that,
right.
but so then not only, and one of the things that was inhibiting the really smart guys from becoming even better or exploring the whole planet is an ocean.
Oh.
If you can't manipulate your environment, then you
Oh,
can't build
yeah.
a boat. And he specifically mentions that they can't swim.
Yeah.
So they have like really heavy bones. They can't even jump or something.
Oh.
So then they meet these little like cave people, and they got boats.
Oh my gosh.
So they like join forces.
Yeah.
Ah.
It was really cool, and it was just cool
Very
because in the beginning,
interesting.
that's how this is kind of like. I guess this dude, the guy with the necklace, was like the liaison between the two races, kind of like Stormgren. So it's just funny because that's how he gets them to initially be interested, is with jewelry. Because like, if you can't make
Right.
anything,
Right.
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you see someone from your race is wearing this like
Yeah.
jewelry,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you'd be like, "Excuse me, what? Where
And
did
how
you
do
get
I get that?
Yeah, like I just thought it was so cool.
What is the
That is
collection called again? Like,
It's called Expedition to Earth.
yeah.
Expedition
Is
Earth.
it just, was it originally like put together that way, or is it just,
Yes, it was originally.
Yeah.
That's why I'm including it. Like, it's
Yeah.
going to be episode 6.
yeah.
And I think it only exists because of the success of Childhood's End.
Ah.
Because as I knew this before, and now that I'm reading them in chronological order, now I understand that the world became, lovers of Arthur C. Clarke when Childhood's End came along.
Yeah.
Not when Prelude to Space came along.
Right. Yeah.
So because all over the book that I have like a super old version.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, if you loved Childhood's End, and then it's like hundreds of thousands of copies sold at Childhood's End. You must it's like, check out these short stories, because these short stories are all written and published in magazines way before Childhood's End was ever written.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So
right. Yeah, because they sound great. Like, I want to check some of them out. I want to read some of them.
You have they're all in that collection.
Oh, awesome. Perfect.
I could tell you like what order.
Perfect.
But anyway, I guess that's it. This is like a relatively short episode.
Yeah.
But the dopest thing about this episode is I'm not going to edit it at all.
Ooh.
Less work for me. So like, I'm not going to have any ads or anything like that.
Oh, nice.
It's just going to be intro.
Yeah.
Conversation, outro.
Nice.
So anyway.
You should have told me this was live.
Well, I might. Well, no, I will probably edit it.
I'm just messing.
But I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
I don't have to add any bullshit.
Right.
It's amazing how when you think of an idea and you have all these like ways to make it better, and you do it once, and then you have to fucking do it over and over and over again. It sucks.
Yeah.
Like, I wish that I never had the idea for fake ads.
But they're great.
Yeah, but I can't record them, so like
Oh,
it
right.
just sucks that I have to get somebody else.
I
More
gotcha.
work.
Yeah.
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 Whatever. Okay. Anything else?
I don't think so.
All right.
That
That
fun.
was it. Yeah. So
I
if
like
you
talking
want,
about it.
so how did you guys watch it?
Oh,
So you could tell the folks.
Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime.
Yeah,
So
we
you can
rented
rent it on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
I bought the Blu-ray. I think it was like $20, but yeah, you should totally check it out.
Definitely.
Do you think people? I don't know, man. Like, you should just watch it. Don't even read the book. Fuck it.
Yeah.
I
feel like
I
I liked
didn't
it
read-
better because I read the book, but yeah, you
I
didn't
loved
read it, and you
I didn't
loved
read
it.
the book. I loved it. I thought it was really cool. I thought it, like it was a story. It was just a story to me, and it was a really interesting story. I've not heard anything. I thought it was unique. I'd not seen anything like it.
I think that if you're down with golden age science fiction, definitely read the book.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're more of a modern sci-fi person, just watch the show.
Good point. Yeah.
Mhm.
You know,
Do you?
I think.
So, Childhood's End was like a really popular Clark book. Do you see, like, what are your thoughts based on other things you've read from him? Like, do you like it better than like the Space Odyssey or Rama or
No,
no?
not at all.
Well, okay. We'll compare it to the Sands of Mars.
Yeah.
Oh,
Think about the jump in,
Right.
in what he's trying to say.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think either. Well, see, that's tough. I really liked Sands of Mars because I really do. I'm a huge fan of like real science fiction. Is that a thing? Or
Well, hard science fiction.
hard science fiction? Like, I'm such a fan. Like, the whole concept fascinates me, that I love reading about like the ships and the science and the planets and space. But then obviously this brought up all those other things about who we are as people and humans, and that's really interesting to me as well. Kind of combining both things.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I can understand why more people would be excited about Childhood's End than they would about the Sands of Mars. But me personally, I enjoyed both of them. But I'm also coming from a place, I'm coming from 2001 Space Odyssey, which is kind of like a huge amount of both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel like 2001. Yeah, you're right. 2001 is almost like,
It's like we brought it all together.
yeah, it's like a perfect balance of the hard science fiction and the philosophy
Yeah.
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas Childhood's End is like almost all.
Yeah, I didn't get the
Yeah.
right. I didn't get the feeling that it was a lot of hard.
Yeah.
No, not at all. Not compared to his usual stuff.
I was
Yeah.
also surprised. I was so surprised at how good the show looked.
I was
Like,
too,
the
actually.
CGI.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was
I was pretty
really
impressed
good.
by
Like
it.
it didn't look like a Hollywood movie, but like the ships looked really cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was surprised.
I thought they did a really good job.
Yeah. All right, let's cut it. Snip, snip, motherfucker.
Crack.
Crack.
Thank you for joining us for today's episode of The Space Dreamers, a Sue Madre production. See you next time.